Welcome to the show. This is CRE Insight, where we shine light on extraordinary people driving exceptional results. Today on the show, we have Universal Site Services, a commercial maintenance company, and we have Jeremy Lubin. Welcome to the show, Jeremy.
Thank you so much for having me, Jamie. So I am the regional sales manager for Universal Site Services, which is an exterior maintenance company. So we offer parking lot sweeping, pressure washing, landscaping, day porter service, and everything in between for commercial properties. So I sell these services to business or to building owners and property managers.
And how long has the company been around, and how big are you guys?
So we were founded in 1958 by a man named Leonard Vela in San Jose. He's known as the grandfather of the sweeping industry, since we were one of the first parking lot sweeping companies.
Oh,
And he
wow.
also helped, he also helped develop the modern parking lot sweeping truck.
Okay.
And then in 2005, his daughter Gina and son Joe took over the company, and we've been crushing it ever since. We've expanded all throughout California and then recently into Nevada, Arizona, Texas, and Hawaii.
Tell me about your customers, your clients.
We serve everyone from big box retail chains to top tier property management firms to mom and pop investors who just own and self manage a single building. And then, Universal also has a great reputation in the industry, so we get a ton of referrals. So one of the great things about our company, and something that I think separates us from our competitors, is that we don't work via long-term contracts.
Okay.
It's month to month. So you basically sign our proposal, and there's a little bit of fine print at the bottom that just says that if you are going to cancel services, give us 30 days advance written notice, and that's it.
Well, I think with the month to month, what you're really saying is you're confident in your services, and that, you're going to be able to win the business and earn their trust and be there for a long time. I think that's what it speaks to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and people like the flexibility of a month to month, that they would have a choice, but usually they end up staying.
I agree. Other than that, I've been in the industry long enough now to know that I'm a little biased, but I have the best team in the industry.
Okay.
Our workers and operations team are by far the best that I've worked with. And, this is Southern California.
Yeah.
But my team is amazing. Our clients love us. We do great work. Something else that separates us is just the way that we show gratitude to our clients. Universal's really great about showing appreciation. And then, a couple other things that, may or may not separate us from some of our competitors. We can actually meet standard insurance requirements, which would be, 2 million general liability, 5 million excess liability, 1 million workers' comp, 1 million auto. Some companies cannot meet that. Some other companies say they can meet that, but then when something happens, we can't meet it. And then, everyone that we hire is authorized to work in the US and required to pass background checks. So that's something that, I don't know, maybe some of our competitors do or don't do.
Yeah. So would you say your company invests more time to hire right at the beginning?
Yes.
To get these quality people?
Yes, absolutely. There tends to be a lot of turnover in this industry to begin with. And Universal has very, very little turnover. We have a lot of people that, have been working for Universal for over 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Our current president actually has been working for Universal for, God, I want to say close to 30 years. He was recently promoted to president. He was director of operations. But people stay at Universal for the long haul, and I hope to as well.
Yeah, that's really awesome. One of my first earlier commercial real estate clients, he had long-term loyal employees, like 20 plus, and that kind of marked me because actually it showed up in his credit. He paid his bills right on time. when I had a commission invoice, the check was cut like either the same day or within the hour. And so his responsiveness too on a deal, it was like I would ask for something and get it like within the hour. And so it was just, it kind of flowed with everything else. But I think the first sign was like, this was like a really top-notch quality person who focused on excellence, was the fact that he retained people, that people were loyal to him, and that he kept employees happy. So I'm glad to hear that about your company as well.
Yes, there's some properties that we've been sweeping for, probably over 20 years.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
Properties that might be self-managed, owned by a certain person that's had a long-standing relationship with us, and we continue to do a good job. So there's really no reason to get rid of us.
Mhm.
We're priced very fairly. So, there's a very good chance that even if they put it out to bid, we would still come in lower.
Love
Um, and we have a lot of since I came aboard Universal a few years ago, we have a lot of clients that I brought in when I first got hired,
that. Mhm.
who are now some of my best clients, who just continue to feed us more work because we do a good job and they feel comfortable with us, and now we have a great working relationship. And then they'll introduce us to other property managers that they work with at their firms. And yeah, so we have great relationships with a lot of top tier property management firms.
That's amazing.
We're a one-stop shop when it comes to exterior maintenance, whereas there are certain companies out there that only do parking lot sweeping or only do pressure washing. Um, Clients can come to us for really any kind of exterior maintenance service, which makes it easier on them because they're very busy people and they don't often have the time to, research new vendors. So, as long as they're happy with us or whoever, it becomes a lot easier for them to just pick up the phone and be like, hey, I need pressure washing at this property instead of, making a bunch of calls or getting on the internet. We go the extra mile with holiday gifts every year, and part of my job is I plan client appreciation events.
Oh, wow.
So I like to show people a good time. We do 5-course wine pairing dinners, maybe
Mhm.
something that like you wouldn't do, on your own, but if someone else offers to take you to one, it's like, wow, this is pretty cool. Um, we do, excursions to Magic Castle.
Oh, wow. I love
Base,
Magic Castle.
yeah, which for a lot of people is, once in a lifetime thing.
Mhm.
Um, Angels games, Dodgers games, other sporting events. Um, yeah, we do all sorts of client appreciation events, and this all comes from the top. I mean,
Yeah,
Universal's ownership has always treated its employees very well and do the same types of things for our employees. So we're just a very grateful company.
that's awesome. I believe in expressing gratitude and doing it as often as you can. Because I think if you take a moment and you figure out, I need to thank this person, or, they really helped me in this area, just speaking it out, a lot of times people will be like, oh, you don't need to thank me. It's not a big deal. But the opportunity to give thanks is actually the secret and the sauce for picking up new opportunities. When your eyes are kind of searching on how to show gratitude, I think it's the same as picking up a business opportunity.
For sure. What I'd hope they say about us is that we're reliable. We answer emails super quickly compared to, maybe other companies that they've worked with. We answer our phones, 9 out of 10 times. And, we have a pretty strong reach as far as, working in California and also Nevada, Arizona, um, Hawaii. So, if they might have properties in other states that they manage, and we're able to help them with those as well.
Oh,
And then, yeah, and then, just the quality of work compared to maybe other vendors that they've dealt with. They like our quality of work and just keeping it, giving us more business, which is a sign that they've been happy. So I've basically been in sales since I was in college, even though I didn't realize it at the time. At the time, I wanted to get into the entertainment industry,
Mm.
and I got hired by the other Universal Music,
Oh,
as
wow.
as a college rep. So my job was to promote the label's artists on my college campus. Really cool job. And they also assigned me a territory in the Midwest where I was tasked with cold calling college radio stations and then trying to get our songs into
Oh,
their rotations.
wow.
Yeah. And then after college, I decided to move to LA. I was still interested in entertainment.
Mhm.
I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And once I moved out, I decided to pursue filmmaking.
Oh,
So
okay.
I've always been a creative person. And, I was really inspired at the time by some of those like low budget independent films that were
Right.
making a killing, like the Blair Witch Project. And so a friend and I started making an independent film. And during that time, I held various sales jobs during the day to support myself, but also to finance the movie because
Oh,
no
wow.
one's going to finance first time filmmakers.
Yeah.
So I was a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. I was an insurance agent. I sold software. I sold everything under the sun. And then, I realized making this movie was not as fun as I thought it would be. Mostly because I was just really stressed out about money the whole time, and I was,
Right.
burning the candle at both ends. I mean, I had absolutely zero free time for several years and burnt myself out.
Mhm.
We were working during the day and then editing and filming on nights and weekends. So
Wow.
so then once the movie was finished, I realized that making independent movies was not sustainable for me. And I was going to focus on making a good living. So I decided to put all my energy into sales for the foreseeable future. And for the past 20 years or so, I've had several different sales management and sales
Mhm.
director roles. A couple of them involved building sales departments from the ground up and then managing several people. Right around 2016, I was working in the textile industry.
Like fabric?
And yeah, I was
Okay.
selling, I worked for a bed sheets company and then for a pet care company that made doggy beds and pet toys.
Okay.
And, at that point, I realized I missed being creative. I still needed some kind of creative outlet.
Yeah.
So I got into house flipping.
Okay.
And house flipping, it was a great creative outlet for me because I learned how to do most of the work myself and I really enjoyed it. And that's when I started to fall in love with real estate.
Oh,
And
wow.
I even did house flipping full time. I tried doing it full time for a few months. And then I realized that I miss doing sales. I
Uh-huh.
missed, having people to talk to during the day and working in a team atmosphere. So it was at that point when I was almost 40 years old that I realized best case scenario for me would
Mhm.
be to find some kind of real estate related job for
Yeah.
Monday through Friday and then continue doing the house flipping as a side hustle on weekends. So 2017, I officially entered the CRE industry. I got hired by a company called Cam Property Services,
Okay.
and I learned a ton about commercial real estate maintenance. And I realized what a lucrative industry it is, and what a great industry it is. And I worked at Cam for almost 4 years, and then I joined Universal Site Services, which I've been at for 3 years now. And I
Great.
continue to work on my house projects on weekends, and I'm probably the happiest I've ever been.
That's awesome.
My college days, working for the record label, even before then, when I was, in high school, like working in the shoe section of Kmart,
Yeah.
doing like blue light specials. Um, a lot of those sales skills that I developed at a pretty early age, I think helped me
Mhm.
with producing the movie.
Right.
And I just, I just kept, I kept selling during the day at various jobs, and I just kind of
Mhm.
kept building on that sales experience to the point where, I feel like I'm pretty well versed at this point. And I continue, I still to this day, I continue to watch seminars about sales. I'll read, books from time to time about, improving certain aspects of sales. I think your average person probably takes the maintenance for granted.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't realize that, one day at a particular busy shopping center without a sweeping service or without a porter service, uh, your property can get completely trashed.
Right.
So I don't personally know the type of people that would change a diaper in the middle of the parking lot and just chuck it out the window, or throw a throw a fast food bag, just instead of walking to a trash can, just dump it in the middle of the parking lot. But
But it
there are
happens.
there are a lot of slobs, and that's why we exist. There are people like that everywhere all day long.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I think being a great communicator
Mhm.
is probably the most important thing. Just following up, closing loops, being reliable, picking up your phone 9 out of 10 times, and just proving yourself to be a trusted person,
Yeah.
and also being knowledgeable, being an expert in your field.
Hmm. I think that speaks to clients being able to trust you and to win the business. I talk to developers and property owners all the time, and when they speak of somebody that's a trusted advisor, the first thing they say is like, they have my complete trust. They've earned it. And I think that's so key in sales.
Absolutely. I still cold call and cold email to find clients, but like when I say cold call, it's more like a warm call because many property managers have heard of us, and even if they haven't worked with us, they're aware of us and usually open to getting more info.
Oh, great, great.
I personally find clients in a variety of different ways. I find clients on LinkedIn. I'm a member of BOMA, IFMA, IREM. I'm on the board of an IFMA chapter. I'm on the board of the San Fernando Valley IFMA chapter,
But what's
and
IFMA? IFMA.
International Facility Manager
Oh, okay.
Association.
I notice on your website you have a wide variety of services. It kind of runs the spectrum. And one of the things that caught my eye was graffiti removal. Now, when I think about it, most cities do have a graffiti removal program, but why would someone hire you to do that, your company?
Well, first of all, not every city has a graffiti removal program. Some do, a lot don't. And if you are lucky enough to get the services of the city, it generally takes a while for them to come out. It's not immediate. And by the time they come out, there could be, a lot more of it. And, they also don't really care so much about color matching. They'll maybe try to do something close, but it's usually pretty obvious when the city is the one who covered up the graffiti.
Yeah.
I always tell property managers and building owners, I say the best thing you can do is, when you first paint your building, save all of those color codes
Mhm.
and just have them on hand, so that if there is graffiti, you can just give those color codes to us, and we can come out, we can color match and do a much better job than the city would.
Yeah, and I think with graffiti, it kind of works like dings on your car. You want to get it repaired as soon as possible. Otherwise, it kind of attracts and begets more graffiti.
Absolutely. And the same goes with trash. If you have a busy shopping center that probably requires 7 days a week of parking lot sweeping, and you only have one day a week, when people see that the parking lot is trashed,
Yeah.
a lot of people will just get the impression, okay, well, I guess they don't care. I guess it's cool, and they'll just throw more trash on the property.
What's the importance of having your parking lot or outside area pressure washed?
To maintain the appearance of the concrete,
Mm,
just to keep it looking fresh and nice when customers come to your center, and
mhm.
also to prevent rodents and
Oh,
other bug infestations and stuff like that. Um, and the longer you leave certain stains, whether it's like a ice cream stain,
yeah.
or uh, you know even like biohazard stains, they will start to kind of more deeply penetrate into the surface, and they
Mm,
become surface and they become harder to remove. So
Okay.
you want to try and, pressure wash regularly to avoid that from happening.
So it's all about being responsive and immediate with your services.
Yes.
What other services do you offer that we haven't touched on?
I would say like one-off handyman kind of stuff for items that would be within a parking lot. So replacing bollards, um, restriping, which we do once in a while, patching up potholes, repairing gates,
Mhm.
repairing doors, stuff like that we can do as a one-off, and we do quite a bit of that actually.
Yeah, and bollards are really important because I had a client, his office building, a truck driver came and hit the fire hydrant and it was gushing out water. And so when they repaired it, they actually installed three bumpers around it.
Yeah, yeah, and stuff like that happens all the time. And then, people run over stop signs and we were constantly replacing signs. Um, we do what else? ADA compliance stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, really any kind of one-off handyman item that would take place within a parking lot we can do.
Oh, great.
As far as solar projects, from time to time, we're asked to wash solar panels.
Okay. Like
There
on
have
the
been
roof and carport?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, on the roof, carport. Yeah, we've quoted washing of solar panels like on a quarterly basis for a couple apartment buildings and then industrial buildings. I think we actually do that for a couple properties at this time.
Okay.
Um, I'm sure we'll be doing a lot more of it in the future, but there probably are like other companies that actually specialize in washing of solar panels and market that where we don't really market that, but maybe we should. Maybe we should start.
Yeah, I know. Well, the thing with solar panels, I'm finding out is the footprint has to be quite big, 100,000 square feet or more on an industrial property, and then the roof has to be in really good condition. So it just depends. Any other misconceptions people have about your company, the type of services you offer?
There's quite a few of them. I think one of them would be that sweeping trucks pick up large trash items like cups, cans, wood chunks from pallets.
Mhm.
That's what a day porter is for.
Okay.
So a sweeping truck is to control accumulation of small debris like leaves,
Mhm.
dirt, and then small pieces of trash like cigarette butts, receipts, gum wrappers, etc. Um, Another common misconception is that sweeping trucks are guaranteed to be on your property for a certain amount of time each night. So the truck is supposed to drive through the entire property and hit all the areas of the property,
Yeah.
and then they leave. So when we bid on parking lot sweeping, our price is based on the typical amount of time it would take to sweep the property.
Mhm.
Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes sometimes a property that would normally take an hour just
Right.
happens to be clean that day and it only takes 20 minutes to sweep.
Uh-huh.
The day porters and sweeping crews will haul away illegal dumping. They don't do that. That's a separate service. So, just like graffiti removal is a separate service, haul away of illegal dumping is also separate. Day porters don't remove homeless encampments or kick people off the property.
Right.
A homeless encampment would be something that the day porter is supposed to report,
Mhm.
but they don't handle that as part of their scope of work.
Okay. That would be a little too much.
Yeah, yeah. Also, there's some legal issues with that stuff.
Right. I
That's
think
not that's not for us to handle.
legal and
Um,
safety.
yeah. Um, oh, another common misconception is that some portable pressure washing unit bought at Harbor Freight or Home Depot is going to do like as good of a job as we would with a professional pressure washing rig.
Yeah.
That's what you need. You need to be able to pressure wash at around 3,500 psi in
Mhm.
order to get certain stains out. We also pre-treat certain stains before we wash them to help remove them. So that's another one. And then when it comes to landscaping, um, when we quote for landscaping maintenance, we're quoting on maintaining what is currently there.
Like the
So
sprinkler systems.
Yeah, and all the landscape that they have.
Okay,
So we wouldn't remove or replace plants or shrubs as part of the regular maintenance service.
okay. So it's somebody else would do the first planting, but then you would come in and maintain those plants.
Yeah, and we're capable of installing plants, and it's something that we do very often. It's just it wouldn't be included in the regular maintenance service. That would be considered extra if we were to plant, a new tree or do a complete revamp of the landscaping there.
Yeah, I know. I think like the Home Depot and the Costco pressure washers, I think the PSI is like much lower. It's like a third or less of what you're talking about.
Yeah, and there are some rigs that can pressure wash up to 5,000 psi from what I've heard, but I would say, up to 3,500 is typical.
Okay, great.
Common problems from the owner's point of view would be underestimating costs of maintenance or the amount of maintenance needed on their property,
Okay.
not creating a large enough budget for maintenance or capex in general.
Mhm,
um, Common issues for a listing broker, I think, would be not having regular communication with the property manager.
mhm.
I don't know if you ever run into that, but it's not a listing broker's job to, keep the property clean.
Right,
And they generally wouldn't know who the maintenance vendor is unless they like happen to be on site and, catch somebody working.
right,
But if a listing broker has certain concerns about the condition of the property and thinks that it may be affecting deals,
right.
then they should definitely be expressing those to the property manager so the property manager can communicate that stuff to us. We all work for the owner. We
Mhm.
all have the same goals, which is to keep the property clean and keep tenants happy and filling vacancies, right? So we should all be working as a team.
Very
And
cool.
then common problems that I see from a tenant point of view
Yeah.
would be not knowing or fully understanding their leases.
Mhm.
So not knowing like what types of maintenance are covered under the lease, what's considered common area maintenance
Right.
versus what's not common area. So
Mhm.
some tenants will see our day porter on site and then ask them to mop up a spill like inside their unit. And
Yeah,
that, for instance,
that's
is something.
janitorial.
Yeah, and then since it's not common area, that's just not something that we're able to do. That's not in the scope of work. Scope of work is just for us to maintain common areas.
Yeah, I think that's a really important distinction. A lot of tenants, after they sign the lease, they're like happy they move in, but they really don't understand the lease. And I think that takes some education before the deal is signed, like what to expect. At my client's office building, they have a service and they put it under the umbrella of light janitorial, but it does include all kinds of quarterly services and it's mainly interior focus. But understanding what to expect, I think that's important from the tenant's point of view, for sure.
Absolutely. Yep. I would say 95%
Mm,
of what we do is exterior.
okay,
Um, we are not a janitorial company.
okay,
And the difference between janitorial service and day porter service is that a day porter works outside during the day,
yeah,
whereas a janitor cleans inside at night. And
okay,
usually it's, individual units. So, yeah, we do not do interior cleaning,
okay,
although once in a while we may make an exception if we have day porter service at a shopping center 7 days a week and there happens to be like an outdoor food court with a couple restrooms,
yeah,
we can handle that. But we're not in the janitorial business, so we don't clean, interiors of offices or industrial buildings. So day porter service is different. When you pay for day porter service, you're paying for someone to stay at the property and monitor trash
mhm,
for a certain amount of hours per day,
yeah.
fixed amount of hours.
What are the differences in maintenance for different product types? Like you spoke of shopping centers. What about industrial versus office?
Typically for industrial properties, since there's not going to be restaurants, which tend to create a lot of spills and garbage. Typically for industrial properties, we're going to be sweeping up dust and leaves and just smaller debris, just so
Yeah.
that it doesn't accumulate. What I typically see on an industrial property is either twice a month or once a week sweeping.
Okay.
And occasionally, pressure washing, I'd say usually like once a quarter,
Mhm.
maybe common area, walkways, stairs. Whereas a busy shopping center, you'd want to pressure wash once or twice a month because
Right.
the sidewalks can get grimy pretty quickly.
What about office?
Yeah, office, again, sidewalks typically don't get super messy in offices. I would say for office properties, you're usually good with once a quarter pressure washing, although it depends on the amount of foot traffic, of course. And then sweeping is typically once a week for an office property, sometimes more than that, depending on foot traffic and the area that the property happens to be in.
As an industrial broker, a lot of times there are truck wells that have the drainage isn't working, the sump pump, because there's trash and debris from whatever. Do you ever have to go in and clear those?
We do from time to time, although that's not part of the normal scope of work.
Hmm.
So that would be something that upon request, we'd be able to handle that.
Okay, and then also on your website, I noticed you do storm drain cleaning.
Yes, same type of thing. It's not part of the normal scope of work for a day porter or sweeping crew or pressure washing crew, but it's something that we can handle outside of the contract for an additional fee. There's a lot of different factors that go into pricing, how
Mhm.
to determine that. So, it'd be the number one, the number of properties that we'd be bidding on or that we're currently servicing for that particular client. Um, Also, the size of the property,
Mhm.
the condition of the property prior to starting the job, the scope of work of the job, um, drive time, that's something that comes into play.
Mhm.
How far a day porter would have to drive from wherever he or she's based to the job site.
Mhm.
And then ease of maintenance, like the amount of foot traffic that the property typically gets, number of parked cars, and then materials and supplies, equipment that's required. Yeah, so there's a variety of factors that go into the quote itself. I would say like the primary factor
Mhm.
would be time. How much time does it
Right.
take to service the property?
I,
So,
and I think
if a,
what we're touching on is like a custom tailored solution, based on what the client needs, their size, and the frequency of your service.
yes, yep.
And
So, sometimes like if a client wants to compare apples to apples, if they want to compare like our quote
Mhm.
to a different quote, um, they want to know like what the hourly rate is. So the way to figure that out is, to ask the vendor how much time are you basing your quote on?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so that's what goes into the quote part of the bidding process. And then we generally will visit the property
Mhm.
before we put the bid together. It can take up to a week usually to visit the property and then put the proposal together. Once the proposal is sent to the client, they return it to us and then we prepare for the job start. We just start working on scheduling.
Just everything going up, and also fuel. How do you communicate or control those costs, so your clients don't have sticker shock every month with that month-to-month contract?
So typically we do a CPI increase each year to account for rising costs of labor and materials and gas. Um, that's it.
Okay.
So just a very like minimal increase to compensate for that.
Okay, so it's something really reasonable that people can
Yes,
and understand, really.
yes.
Okay, and
And this year no one argued with it. I mean, everyone everyone kind of was expecting that there would be an increase because
right.
of inflation, and this year was no exception. I personally am focusing on gaining new retail and industrial clients. I personally believe that, at least with the retail sector and multifamily industrial,
Mhm.
I think that in 2024, as long as interest rates continue to drop, there will be more opportunities being created, more deals will be made. There'll be more property turnover, which creates new opportunities for companies like mine.
If the audience out there can put you in touch with your ideal client, who would that be?
It would be a portfolio management company that manages, big, we call them power centers in our industry. So busy shopping centers that would require 7 days a week parking lot sweeping, 7 days a week day porter service, um, you know, 2, 3 times a month pressure washing, and 1 to 2 times a week landscaping. A good portion of our clients are asset managers.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, most of our clients would have the title of asset manager, property manager, portfolio manager, facilities manager, or building owner.
What would you tell your younger self?
God, I wish that I found out about the CR industry and got in when I was in my 20s. I mean, it basically took me till I was 40 to get into it. And, anytime I see like someone in their early 20s, like right out of college,
Mhm.
their first job is, assistant property manager or, or listing agent, I'm like, oh, good for you.
Yeah,
Good for you. So, yeah, I mean, some of the best advice I would have given my younger self is just get into the CRE industry. I mean, there are so many opportunities, and even if you're in the industry and not satisfied with the particular role you have, maybe you don't like being an assistant property manager. My advice would be to become active in some of the networking organizations like IREM, BOMA, IFMA, and you'll learn a lot more about other companies and other roles within the industry.
yeah,
And you'll meet a lot of great people who you can build relationships with, who can definitely help you down the line. You might find something else within the industry that you end up loving. So try to stay in the industry if you're in the industry. And if you're
yeah,
not in it, get into it. Um, and yeah, I mean, even if you're 60 years old, it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be working for another 15 years.
yeah,
So if you're property manager 60 years old and you want to, you know, try something else, you can get into sales, working for a maintenance vendor and probably do very, very well with all the contacts that you've built over the years.
yeah. I think commercial real estate is one of the few industries that celebrates wisdom. And with age comes a lot of wisdom. So many industries that's all youth focused, like, you can only do it when you're young. But in commercial real estate, I found the best people that have been, at it for 30, 40, 50 years even. And just talking to them over coffee or just, spending some time with them, it's just opened my eyes to a lot of things that, I mean, I've been in brokerage for 20 plus years and I'm always ready to learn something from somebody and anybody really.
Yeah. And, I think that the longer you're in this industry, the more you benefit from your network.
Mhm.
For me personally, I mean, my, um, selling now in this industry is a lot easier versus 7 years ago when I first got in, just because I know so many more people.
Right, right. So what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn, and you can also email me. It's J Lubin. So first letter of my first name and then last name, Lubin, at universalsiteservices.com. Cell phone 213-215-4867. You can also see me at your local BOMA, IFMA, and IREM events. I'm a member
Okay.
of many different chapters because my territory is all Southern California. So I'm a member of the OC chapters, the LA chapters, the San Diego chapters, the Inland Empire chapters. So, highly recommend getting involved in those if you're not currently. Um, and then, if you ever are interested in coming to one of my events that I put on, hit
Mm,
me up. Let me know. I'd
great,
love to have you.
great. Thank you for your time, Jeremy. I learned a lot. You opened my eyes to parking maintenance, exterior building maintenance, and I think there's a lot of people that are going to be blessed by this conversation.
I hope so. There's probably a lot of people out there that might find maintenance boring or dry. I think to be a successful salesperson, you definitely have to be enthusiastic in what you sell. And I think parking lot sweeping trucks are cool. I love going out and watching them do their thing. I love watching the crews at work. I
Uh,
love watching people pressure wash. It's actually really satisfying, like watching them, knock out stains.
yeah,
So I love maintenance. And then, just being a house flipper, I love being able to like walk around a shopping center and make a list of all the items that need to be fixed and kind of help the property manager budget for all those. Like that's fun for me. So
very cool. Well, thank you for being on today's episode.
thank you.
Um, that's it for today's episode, CRE Insight. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you, everybody.